All right, we got a loft visit with one of the best racers in Brisbane, and I think Australia, in my opinion. Um, Thanks for letting us come over, first of all.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll start asking questions so we can get all these birds coming in soon, so better get it out of the way. First of all, can I ask you, in order, breeding. What do you do with your breeding? Do you go winners to winners, or do you let it? Uh, how do you do it?
No, I got a family of pigeons. I've always looked around for a couple of good pairs, and I end up getting a foundation pair, which are pretty hard to come by. And all my breeding is based around that foundation pair. It's a 99 cock and a 98 hen, so they've been around for a long while. So all the good pigeons come down off them, and I keep introducing new bloodlines into them, trying them with them, and then keep them if they work well, or moving them on if they don't.
Is that every year you introduce new blood to it?
Not necessarily every year, but I try to get something pretty often if I can. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. And do you mind me asking what the bloodline is? Like, whatever you put
Well, the
in.
original pair, I got a cock from a friend of mine in Sydney, and he was bred from a Staff Van Riet. A Staff Van Riet hen mated to a Muleman cock.
Yep,
That
yep.
was on the cock side, and the hen was 3/4 Jansen and 1/4 the old Brisbane Belt Club.
So it's a mix of everything.
Yeah.
So are they like day birds, or are they all day birds? What are
They're
they?
day pigeons, yeah. They're all day, on the day pigeons. That's what I've always looked for, because 90% of our races are on the day, so I've always looked for that. But I want pigeons that'll be there at 100 k's and will be there at 800 k's, just as long as they can get home on the day.
Yep, yep. And have they've done the long distance as well?
Well, I won Mackay, and Mackay is 820 k's, so I won
Wow.
Mackay on the day, but clocked in after 5 o'clock. So they'll do that. They're just not the sort of pigeon that's going to keep coming the next day.
Right, right. Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Training. Okay. How far do you go, and what do you do with the ones that stay home?
Well, everything is based around Saturday. On Saturday, everything has to go somewhere. They have to go to a race, or they have to go to a training toss. And the training toss has got to be around the 100 kilometres. I'm looking for an hour and a quarter, hour and a half on the wing if I can get it, because that starts the week. Everything's gone on Saturday. On Sunday, I'll let them relax, have a bath, and I'll start giving them what they want to eat, build them back up again. Then on Monday, I start the feed regime and build back up again to the following Saturday. But on Saturday, everything has to go to take them back down again to get them all at that level,
Yep.
so I can start building them up to the next race.
All right. Okay. Feeding. So, when they return, what do you feed them? Heavy, light, and then how do you build them up during the week?
Feeding when they come home, I can give them virtually anything I want. I give them a bit of seed mix and some extra peas maybe on the race day, just depending on what the race is like. It doesn't really matter to me what I feed them on the Saturday. I give them plenty to eat. There's another pigeon coming in
From the toss?
from the toss. Yeah,
That's one of the six missing.
one of the 6 missing from the toss. Yeah.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, so I do that, and then on the Monday I reduce their feed back a little bit, and I also change the content of it. You know, there might be a bit more barley, and it'll be a bit lighter in the feed on the Monday, and again on the Tuesday. I don't take them down much, just a little bit, but the racing or the tossing on the Saturday has taken them back down and built the appetite in them. Then I slowly build them back up again towards the end of the week. So by the time we get to basketing night, those pigeons don't want to eat anymore. They're all puffed up, they're full of energy, and they're ready to go.
That's awesome. So it depends on the actual race, right? How you
Yeah.
feed them. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, sometimes you're basketing Thursday night and sometimes you're basketing Friday night. So Thursday nights I'll build them up a little bit sooner and build them up a little bit more, because obviously it's a longer race.
Yep. Yep. Medication. How do you feel about medication? What do you?
The less the better, I feel. I mean, originally I was like everybody else. You believed you had to medicate them a lot, but I don't believe that anymore. I think you've got to cut down the medication as much as you can. You shouldn't be giving any medication to your breeders except perhaps some worming solution or something like that. And you should let your pigeons build up their natural immunity. A big problem that people have is they medicate so much that their medication doesn't work properly anymore,
Yep.
and the bugs that you're trying to treat get resistant to it. And the best thing in the long run is to build up the immunity in the pigeons, so use less. Maybe you've got to treat for canker, because that's one thing that builds up
Yeah.
with when they get under stress. And if you control the canker, you probably control most other things. And you've got to have a good ventilated loft. If you don't have a good ventilated loft, you'll keep getting problems like one-eyed
Right.
cold and respiratory problems and so forth.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Medications covered. So, do you get your birds tested at all, or you've done it for so long you know what's wrong with them?
Pretty much, I've done it for so long I know what's wrong with them. I've got a microscope in there, but I no longer use it. I haven't used it for 20 years. You can pretty much tell by the way they eat, what their droppings are like, and their condition, the feathering, and how they're flying around the loft, whether there's anything wrong with them.
Yep, yep. Okay, recovery. So, what do you do for recovery? Do you give them not medication, vitamins and all that sort of stuff? What do you?
Not a lot, no. I'm using some of these acid products. I don't mind using some of those, and I use some of these tummy right products. Not a lot, but on the Sunday I'll give them that, and I've got a Dynavite that I use. It's a horse probiotic. I like using that on the feed, and I'll use apple cider vinegar on the feed, a bit of that, and every Wednesday I give them some oil on the feed. I give them a vitamin mix, and I give them some of that tummy right stuff on their feed every Wednesday.
Yep.
Every Tuesday they get some iodine in the water, some Seni-Check.
Yep.
I've been doing that for the last 20 years, and I give that to them every Tuesday, every week of the year, not just during the racing season, but all the time.
Yeah, I read your diary on that one. Okay. Well, what's the most memorable moment when it comes to racing? What's your?
There's quite a lot of them. That's the biggest thing I enjoy the most about pigeons, is waiting for them to come home, and that's where you get the good memories. I always remember the first federation race I won. I clocked in a cock at 8 o'clock at night from 500 miles. My daughter and I were sitting out there in the middle of winter,
Wow.
freezing cold, and this pigeon come home in the dark at 8 o'clock, and we clocked it in, and I won the fed. And picked up about $2,000 in prize money back then, and this is back in the
That would have been good money.
back in the 80s, and that was enough to buy a new dining suite and a new lounge suite for the family, and
That's awesome.
so the wife was very happy with pigeon racing back then.
Ah, awesome, awesome. All right. What advice do you have for the new flyers?
It's difficult for new flyers these days. Everything is difficult. It's hard to get the right backyard. It's hard not to have neighbour problems. You've got to have a good loft, and you need to have a number of pigeons today. I mean, when I first started, I had 37 race birds and I flew to Broken Hill.
Wow.
There's no way in the world, I think, today you could have 37 race birds and fly to Broken Hill.
Yep.
The falcons are major problems, difficult for families because they pick pet birds out and the pet birds get taken, and so it's very difficult for new flyers, but the best you can do is trying to get some pigeons and just stick to the simple basics.
Yep.
One of the biggest problems newcomers have, they get too much advice. It's not bad advice, but it's too much advice.
Yep.
And they try to do too many things, and the more things they do, the more changes they make, and the more changes they make, the worse the pigeons go.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you suggest buying a few stock birds from a stud, or do you suggest buying a team? What do you suggest? Buying off an old guy that's done it for years?
Well, it's difficult. Anything can work. Like I found a foundation pair. I mean, I'd had good pigeons in the past, but I'd let them slip through my fingers because I didn't have enough experience to hang on to them. So finally, when I finally found that foundation pair, because they bred me 6 club winners the first time I put them together, and I said, okay, this is a good pair. I need to breed around this. But
That's amazing.
you can lose that. It's very hard to. So you've got to try and get pigeons wherever you can get them, and you've got to try them, but you've got to teach yourself, because most of the problems you're going to have is in your own head. That's where it's mainly going to be.
Yeah.
But you need to just enjoy them and try and learn for the first couple of years exactly what to do.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll start. Where is the race today, by the way?
Today we're come back to our short race, 162 k's from Thane, just over the Toowoomba range.
Yep, yep. And they were released at 10 o'clock?
They're going up at 10. It's 10 past 11 now. Yeah, they went up at 10 o'clock, so I'm thinking with a little bit of west in the wind, they won't be far away.
So it'll
from
be a
12
fast
o'clock.
race?
I
All
think
right.
it'll be a fast race.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'll start waiting for the arrivals. Thanks,
Okay,
Len.
no problem.
So you have 200 in there at the moment?
No.
So
I
you
had
got
150 to start. I lost a few, or culled a few around the loft and stuff, and I've lost 9 races. I'm down to about 130.
so 130 for the rest of the season. And how many races left?
Well, we've had
So the second series now.
6 races, yeah. So we've still got, we've got 2 races on one weekend sometimes, so there's a few more than that. So we've got about 24 races.
24 races to go.
There would, well, not to go, there'll be 6 out of those gone, so we've probably got 18 races to go, but probably over 16 weeks, something like that, because there's a couple of double-up races with 5 birders and whatever.
And then at the end of the season, how many do you end up with out of that 150, did you say?
Yeah, 150 youngsters that went over there, but you know the falcon got one around the loft, and Gossie got a couple, I think. But you lose a few before you get started, you know, and then you lost one or two.
So you'll have less than 100 or less than 80 or
when we finish.
when you finish?
I'd love it if we had that many left.
So the falcons just go through them.
Oh, we're going to fly Broken Hill, 700 miles, Wilcannia, 600 miles.
They'll end up in Sydney.
Two co-bars, they're 500 miles.
Jeez.
So a lot of pigeons are going to get lost trying to get through all those races.
So what's the furthest? What's that in kilometres? Is that?
It's 1,200 kilometres to Broken Hill.
Yep.
And about 1,000 kilometres to Wilcannia.
I think is that the falcon over there? That big one? Is it a hawk?
Where is it?
Yeah, up there. It looks like a hawk. They're too slow for them, right?
Yeah.
So what is it? 1,000 something?
What's that?
The last race.
1,200 kilometres.
1,200.
Yeah, 1,200 kilometres to Broken Hill and about 1,000 to Wilcannia.
And you've had birds home from there?
We haven't flown Broken Hill for quite a while, but I run second in the Broken Hill Fed here. Must be about 15, oh no, 20 something years ago, I guess now.
20 years ago, wow.
Clocked in at 2:45 in the morning in the dark.
Wow.
But they had a tailwind behind them that day. They had a storm come through, and behind the storm was a tailwind, and they picked it up all the way from Broken Hill to Brisbane.
And what bloodline would you send at that distance?
That was it. Well, you've got to have second day pigeons for those type of races.
So Goodgers, Harrisons and all that sort of stuff?
Well, the old Brisbane stuff, they're probably as good as the Goodgers and the old Harrisons, because they are Harrisons, the old Brisbane stuff.
Yep.
It's just a combination of the old blood, and they used to just do those type of races. That old blood, it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
It's too slow in the earlier races, but it just keeps coming in the old.
Do you have any Watson Pieds here at all?
I got some Watson Pieds. Chris Wright, he's got a lot of Watson Pieds, and he breeds some small team pigeons.
Oh, okay, so you got a few friends.
I clocked one of his in Townsville last year, 21 I should say.
And that was a Watson Pied?
A Watson Pied from him, and that run 10th in the Fed.
Oh wow, so the old bloodlines still work, huh?
Yeah,
they're a bit slow though.
Yeah, they're good for those 2-day races.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Porter's pretty much the king of long distance, isn't he?
Yeah, he concentrates on that. He's got the bloodlines for it, and he starts the whole year. His whole year is based on getting a good pigeon in those last couple of races.
And he gets pretty good birds on the early races these days.
Yeah, well, he's got the old Brisbane blood, the Riccos and the Belfs and all of that type of thing, but he's put a lot of other stuff into him, and he's put a lot of the import blood into him. He's got Gabbies in him, he's got Delbars in him, he's got some Staff Van Reets in him, so he's put all that through him over the years, which has made him a good all-round pigeon, but he keeps the main bloodline to do the 2-day races. They're the races that he
So have you bought any new lollies lately, like Vanderlinde? the new...
No, I don't. Well, the Vanderbilts might be all right, but they look like they're too short a distance pigeon for me. I don't want pigeons that are only good up to, like a 5-hour, 6-hour fly. I want pigeons that can fly 10 hours.
Right.
They have to be able to fly 100 k's or 800 k's on the day. If they can't do that, they're not the sort of pigeon I want.
That's what I found with the Gabbies. That's what they do.
Yeah, Gabbies are very good pigeons. I think they're probably one of the best pigeons that we brought into Australia.
Yeah.
Staff Van Reets are very good too. They've been terrific pigeons.
So will you ever try them?
The Gabbies?
No, the Vanderbilts. Will you try them at all? No? You don't believe in them?
I've got no intention of trying them.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. What do you feel about location? Does that help, with winning feds, or does it have an advantage?
Oh, location definitely does. I mean, pigeon racing's not fair. It's never been fair. But when you let them go, you don't know which way they're going to come in. And it's true that, if you live on the line of flight, you're going to do better than somebody that lives off the line of flight. But there's always going to be that 1 week that no matter where you live, you can still win a fed.
Yep.
You have the right pigeon on the right day, you can do it. So it's up to the individual flyers. I mean, where you live.
Just got to breed the right birds, I suppose.
Well, you got to have them coming too. They got to be bringing the pigeons to your loft. I mean, pigeons like to fly in groups. If you've got a group up the front that are leading them and bringing them along, they're going to come much more online. Lots of times when people complain the pigeons don't come online, it's because their pigeons are followers. They're not leaders. They're following the pack, and they go offline and they come from the wrong direction. So if you've got a strong team of pigeons that are really trying, really want to get home, they'll find a way to come home much more directly. But yeah, it's important where you live. There's no doubt about that.
So,
But the winds decide the winners anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
it's northerly or southerly.
so
Don't change
do
it.
you train like breaking points? Is there such a thing?
I don't train breaking points, but I train on the line of flight, and I train very carefully on the line of flight to get them to come with the right landmarks. I think it's very important when you're educating your pigeons to get them to come on the line that you want. If there's ranges in the road or there's hills or something in the road, if they go one side of the hill you might lose, they go the other side of the hill you're much better. So you've got to teach them to come the way you want them to come.
Right.
Get them
right.
to pick up the landmarks on the way home.
So
once they
that's
get close to home, they see that and they can come much straighter.
so that's the key for you.
Yeah, that's the key for me. I spend a lot of time teaching them to come quickly.
Do you rest your birds, or do you send them every week in the beginning, or?
Yeah, I'll send them every week in the beginning in the shorter races, depending on the races, like when they're coming home. But I mean, most of the time they're only 2 or 3 hours on the wing, so it's nothing for a pigeon 2 or 3 hours on the wing. To do that every Saturday is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll send them one for a bit like that. I mean, well, the Fed does it for us anyway. Once we get to like we are now, we flew 400 k's last week. Now we have a week off, fly a short race. Next week we go to the nearly 600 k's next week.
So that's pretty much the rest time.
Yeah, those pigeons had a rest. Well, they went tossing today, and there's still 4 of them missing, so they didn't get much of a rest.
Well, one thing I didn't ask you, when it gets further, like 500 onwards, do you change your feeding to more fats, or how do you, or do you stick to your program?
I stick to the program, but I do give them extra once it starts getting a bit hard like that. And I've got a seed mixture I use that's got a lot of extra oil seeds in it. So I give them a bit of that after the feed and build them up a little bit more.
And when you say build them up a bit more, when do you start? Tuesday or Wednesday?
No, we'll see. We start basketing on Thursday, so I'll start building them up from like Tuesday morning. We'll be doing Thursday night basketing.
And you rest them on the day, or you loft fly them, or?
I always let them out on the basketing day in the morning. I always let them out for a fly. I don't flag them or nothing. I just let them out, stretch their wings, clean the loft, and get them ready, and call them in and feed them.
Yep.
Give them what they want to eat, but they don't eat that much on that last day because I've built them up.
Yep.
I don't have any trouble getting them back in. A lot of people say, well, if you feed them like that, you won't get them to trap back in. My pigeons want to be in the loft. I don't use hunger or feed as a motivation.
So what's the latest you would feed your birds before you basket that day?
3 o'clock in the afternoon now that I'm retired. I've been retired now for the last 20 years, so I've been able to feed them at 3 o'clock. Previously I used to try and get home from work and feed them whenever I could, but now I feed them at 3 o'clock and start catching them at 5 o'clock. So I've got 2 hours to have a drink and digest a bit of their food, but they don't eat a lot in the last day. If I fed them at 3 o'clock and they stuff their crocks full and they're bulging out, then I know I haven't got them right.
Right. So feeding is very important.
Absolutely, I think feeding is what separates the good flyers from the really good flyers.
Yeah.
If you can get the feeding right, you'll win more than your share of races. Provided you've got good pigeons, a good loft, and all the rest of it, of course.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. You've got to have everything. It's a complete sport. You need the pigeons, you need the loft, you need the management. You've got to be healthy, you've got to be good pigeons. You've just got to have everything.
Pretty much, you've got to be a good trainer.
You've got to be a good trainer, you've got to have stock sense, you've got to understand about it. There's a lot of people don't have or aren't very good at observation. They can't observe a lot of things that other people see. You see that in horse racing. Well, you look at pigeons, you give a couple of young pigeons to a non-pigeon flyer and ask them to pick out the hen or the cock. You know, young pigeons, you look at them, we can look at them and say, oh yeah, that's the hen, that's the cock. You get a non-pigeon flyer to look at it, they don't have that power of observation, they don't know what they're looking for, so they can't pick it out. But
They don't have the experience.
yeah, they don't have the experience and observation, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So if you're retired, you said,
Yeah.
so would that give you an advantage over the guys that don't work,
Oh,
or
I think it definitely does, yeah.
so you have
need
a
a
routine?
routine, but-
Routine, yeah.
You know, I work like everybody else did, and I used to be successful back then as well. I'm
Yeah.
probably more successful now, I'll admit that, but I used to be successful back there, but I was racing in a bad location for the Federation, but I was the club champion year after year after year
Yep.
back there, but you couldn't get into the Federation points as consistently as what you could down here. But yeah, being retired, you got a lot more time for it, but it can be a bad thing. I go down there and spend a couple of hours with the pigeons in the morning, exercising them, feed them, clean them, and what have you. And then I'll go back in the afternoon. And that in-between period, I don't go near them.
Yeah.
A lot of people spend too much time with them, and that ends up spoiling them as well.
So what gives you, like, what excites you more? You getting all the points or getting fed winners?
Oh, I just enjoy watching them come home. I love watching them come home, particularly when the races get out around that 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you watch them come home and doing well in the federation race is the bonus.
There's
that
a
just
bonus.
makes it extra nice. But
Yeah.
remembering you've seen that pigeon come in, that you bred it, you trained it, you prepared it, you sent it away to the race, and you watch it come home after putting hours and hours of strenuous exercise in to get home, and then it comes into your loft and it wins a race. Well, that makes you feel really good.
It's like Christmas every Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why we race, I think.
It's a drug. It's in your blood and you can't get out of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Got his first one. Beautiful. That was pretty quick.
There we go, first one home.
Awesome. That came out of nowhere.
And it's a pied too, yeah.
So it's snowy line, I'm guessing.
Yeah, would be.
Beautiful. They'll start coming in. Wow. So have you clocked that bird before?
No, these are all first starters.
Oh wow. So this is their first race.
Yeah. 271.
So what was the velocity on that one? I won't post it till later.
Just looking at that spread from. Yeah, see that spread from the direct sun here, look.
Oh, they're all coming. Holy cow. They're so... Is that 5 on the drop?
Come on, then. Come on. Scaring each other.
Yeah. Well, they're not too far apart from each other.
Must be some more coming.
Oh, there's another one. They're all coming.
Yeah, that's why they went back up.
6 of them.
First starters are all a bit touchy.
Yeah. All you need is the first one, right?
Yep. It's frustrating if they were waiting for one of these. Another 2, another 3.
Holy McCracken. They're all coming. Wow. What's that, about 7 of them?
See all the pieds coming in?
Yeah. So is that a text message telling you they're all varied?
Yeah, that's a notification saying
Oh, right.
we've got pigeons. Another 2.
Wow.
Look at them up above there going over there.
Yeah.
Way up high.
There they are. Another 4. How many did you send? 30?
29.
29?
The whole stack up real high coming down. Look at them dropping from the height.
Wow.
Come on then.
A lot of pieds.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Too many pieds.
As long as they come home.
Yes, unfortunately the pieds are the best pigeons.
I'm guessing when it gets further, they won't be doing that.
Nah.
Wow.
They're nervous.
At least you're getting a lot of them, not unlike other players, flyers, they get 1 or 2 every 20 minutes. Yours just come in within the 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's amazing. A lot of pieds.
It's not mine. It's holding them up. Comes another 3 from the south. Zipping and darting.
Oh, zipping in. And all your birds will be in within the 10 minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah, the way they are these days, you've got to get them early because once they stop, they stop.
Another pied, beautiful pieds. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that one's not mine, it's on the bird.
That's Australia, you reckon?
Yeah, this one of these is straight too.
Because you got so many flyers here, that's why, huh?
Well, see, if your pigeons are online, they drag other pigeons with them.
They're all zipping in. That first one was about a minute ahead.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Yeah, see, that's bred from a direct son of Snowy.
Oh, right.
One.
Is that right?
The 2 strays that are released.
They're just still hanging around.
Yeah.
What do you think the winner will be? 1-4?
What is it?
It was at 11:49, wasn't it? That stray's gone. Oh, 3 more. The velocity was 1479.
1479, yeah.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah, the sire of that pigeon, he was 3rd in the Gladstone Young Bird Derby.
Oh, wow.
2021.
It's all from the same family.
Yeah, he was a race bird that when I had for sale, he was one of the birds I was racing that year. And at the end of the year, I kept him.
Oh, wow. They're not tired at all, are they? It's too short for them.
Yeah, too easy. Yeah. It's 2 strays there, though, still, and they're still bloody keeping the pigeon up.
They're all coming.
Yeah. Strays trying to land on everything and anywhere.
So 2 of them, oh, 3. There's 4 up there. So how many have you had home already?
I don't know. Let's look. It's 19.
19 back.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's only 11:58.
It's not even midday yet.
Other people would be waiting for another half an hour before the rest of their birds come home. All his are nearly home. These guys aren't tired at all.
I don't keep them hungry, so they don't come home to get fed.
Nah. Oh, you already clock one anyway. That's all that's important. They'll eventually learn, won't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Most of them is their first race.
It is. They're all having the first race.
Wow,
They're all green pigeons.
that's pretty quick for a green pigeon, that one.
Let's do another stray there.
There's three of them on the drop there. So within 10 minutes, he's got 20 plus birds. 10 minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah, 23.
He's got 23. I've never seen it before.
Another pied. Bloody pied.
Two of them coming. 23, 24, 25 now. Now that's how you race. 20 plus in 10 minutes. Bang. Another pied. Wow.
In half an hour's time, all the trainers will start coming. There's 2 cratefuls of them out there too.
How many did you send in the trainers?
47, no. About 50, I think.
Right. So you send them that far as well for the training?
Well, you can't get all your pigeons away. You can only send, 30 to that first race.
And you're to keep them active?
So I send the rest as trainers, yeah.
Yep.
So I just picked out 30 birds. But I ended up making a mistake, and one of the race birds I put into the trainer crates ended up with 29 race birds, and the rest are in the trainer crate.
Oh wow. So you toss and then you put some in the trainers and you put some in the race. Wow.
Yeah, only in these short races.
Yep.
Trying to get them all away, because then they get a fortnight's break, because next week these pigeons have the week off, because we're going to fly Walgett with the team that I tossed today.
Yep.
So these pigeons will get a week off, and then I'll send them all again in a fortnight's time.
Oh wow.
Just to give them the experience and get them on the road, and we can slowly sort out what we're going to race.
Yep.
Just chase that.
All right. Thanks, Lenny. That was awesome.
Okay, mate.
And hopefully I can come in the future and do the same thing hopefully for a Fed race. Thanks very much, Lenny. Thank
No
you.
problem.